January 28th, 2024, Tulsa, Oklahoma. A family's worst fears come true when 39-year-old Cassidy Ritchie's body is discovered in the back of her abandoned SUV, hidden under clothes and boxes. Less than a month earlier, Cassidy had been a glowing bride, full of hope, as she married Chris Morland on January 7th. But just days after their wedding, she mysteriously vanished, and her husband quickly became the prime suspect in what has now turned into a murder case. Cassidy's family last saw her alive on January 20th. She disappeared without a trace, sparking a frantic search. Her parents and children reported her missing after they couldn't get in touch with her. Investigators soon found her abandoned vehicle, damaged and covered in mud. But what they found inside the SUV shocked everyone.
We believed she was dead almost from the word go. This one had so many red flags on it.
Investigators say Cassidy Ritchie was last heard from Sunday the 21st. They believe that's when she was killed. TPD put out an alert about her Thursday the 25th and posted a picture of her missing car. Investigators found her car along Highway 412 Friday the 26th. Investigators looked into the car from the outside but didn't see any evidence of Cassidy. They asked the suspect, Christopher Morland, if they could search it since he's part owner, but he said no, so they got a warrant. They got the warrant on Saturday the 27th and the next day found her hidden inside.
On January 28th, after obtaining a search warrant, Tulsa police opened the vehicle and made the grim discovery. Cassidy's body was wedged into a small space in the back of the SUV, carefully concealed under layers of clothing and boxes. She had been dead for days, her body showing signs of blunt force trauma. Investigators were now certain this wasn't a simple missing persons case. This was murder. Morland's behavior raised red flags for Cassidy's family, especially her brother, Kyle Ritchie. Before Cassidy Ritchie's body was found, her husband, Chris Morland, gave police multiple conflicting stories about her whereabouts. He repeatedly claimed she was simply visiting a friend, but his versions of the story kept changing. Despite his insistence, investigators grew suspicious. Days later, they discovered Ritchie's body hidden in the back of her vehicle, where she had suffered several injuries from blunt force trauma, confirming their fears.
The state medical examiner says Cassidy Ritchie's manner of death is a homicide due to multiple blunt force injuries to her head, middle section, arms, and legs. Ritchie went missing in January. She was found dead and buried beneath clothes in the back of her car that was wrecked and left near Inola. Investigators say her husband, Chris Morland, beat Ritchie to death after a fight. The autopsy also showed Ritchie had drugs in her system at the time of her death. Morland is charged with first-degree murder, and he's due in court later this month.
Cassidy's mother, now grappling with the loss of her daughter, had suspected something had gone terribly wrong as soon as Cassidy went missing. Her son, who had been so close to his mother, was left with the heavy burden of losing her in such a tragic and violent way. Both expressed their love and concern during the search, hoping for a miracle, only to face the devastating reality of her murder.
We're trying to get through it all right now.
We know the hard days are coming.
For Joey David and Cheryl Ritchie, the pain of losing beloved mother and daughter Cassie Ritchie is still sinking in.
She saw the good in everybody, and she didn't deserve this at all. No one does.
Her son said this was the hardest and longest week of his life. His mum always checked on him, no matter how late it was. She cared for everyone and was the one who kept the family together. He described her as an amazing mom and said he will always remember her. It was soon revealed that Cassidy had been involved in prior domestic violence incidents. The details remain unclear, but her family had begun to worry for her safety shortly after she married Chris Morland. As the investigation deepened, it became apparent that Cassidy's dream wedding had turned into a nightmare. Now, with Morland officially charged with murder, investigators are piecing together the events that led to Cassidy's tragic death. Police say they are still working to determine exactly what happened inside the home, but the injuries Cassidy sustained suggest a violent encounter, likely ending in her being hidden in the SUV, which was then abandoned. Her husband, Chris Edward Morland, has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Police are still investigating to determine the motive behind the alleged violence. If you or someone you know is facing domestic violence, please reach out for help. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or visit thehotline.org. The hotline is free, confidential, and available 24/7 in over 170 languages. Please subscribe to stay updated on this case and for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching.